Good morning, gang. Good morning. Welcome to this week's altcoin update. First and foremost, big shout out to Prime XBT for sponsoring today's stream. If you don't know who Prime are, then they're a platform for trading not only crypto, but you can trade FX, commodities, and stock indices. And the beauty of them is you can use crypto as collateral, so you can use either Bitcoin or USDT. If you want to know more about them, then check out our links down in the description. And if you use our codes both together, you can get up to a 7,000 USDT bonus, and you can get 25% off trading fees. So not a bad offer. Right, guys. First and foremost, everything discussed today is not financial advice. It's just my view of the market, and it's for educational purposes only. So yeah, this week we're going to take a look at BNB. Because of the widespread FUD on Binance and everything else that's going on Twitter right now, which is quite entertaining and comical. And we're going to take a look at Ocean because it's been highly requested. Quick recap on last week, we were talking about ETH, and we were talking about Litecoin. No real update. We're sideways in this little range, holding on to the point of control for now. Above us, we've got a high volume node, which is the top of the local range. Below us, obviously, we've got the value area low and the bottom of the range. Very simple. Litecoin, not much different. Obviously, we've deviated out of the original range. We're testing the outer bounds of our range fib tool. Right now, we've just back tested the old range highs, getting a little bounce. Does this roll over and come back in, potentially for a short trigger down towards the EQ, or does this run out to the extreme outer bounds of the range fib and fill in this inefficiency? Let's wait and see. Right, BNB. So obviously, if you've been living under a rock, BNB's has been highly discussed recently. We have been talking about it in the group probably for a couple of months now. Purely because the BNB versus BTC pair has continued to drive up throughout the whole bear market, which has been quite interesting to watch. But is it looking like it's getting toppy? Well, it was toppy enough a while back for me to take some shots on the tether pair. So we are riding shorts at the moment. Now, does that mean we're shorting it to zero? No, it just means we're shorting it level by level because we're still range bound. So let's have a look then. So obviously we're on the monthly chart here. Let's throw it into log. See what we can see. We're going to make today short and sweet, by the way, guys, because obviously we've got volatility in the market and I want to get trading. Overall, volume profile, we can see that all the volume is down here. The original run up, this accumulation zone here, and up here it's very thin. It's not even showing on the volume profile. We can see, so obviously up here very little volume compared to down here. Now bear in mind we're looking on the monthly chart, but obviously if we flick it onto the daily chart, you know, it'll look exactly the same. Let's just bring it forward slightly. We can see it's exactly the same. So what can we say? Well, looking at it on a macro scale, obviously quite clearly we're range bound. If we draw on, in fact, let's say, oh, wrong button. We've got a perfect range bound environment. You know, throwing a volume profile within this range. And we can see we're hovering around the point of control again. This point of control has acted as support. We've lost it a few times. We can see on the daily here. We'll zoom in a little bit more so you guys can see this more clearly. We've lost it a few times, but every time we've lost it, we've reclaimed it, and then we've got a bounce out of it. Right now, again, we've lost it this morning. We're coming back up, and we're just riding alongside it at the moment. So obviously, is this a death sentence to range lows? It's not necessarily yet. You know, we'll just see how it runs, and ideally, you want to see this on lower time frame. See what happens. So from here, what could happen? Well, if the point of control holds again, then I'll be looking back up towards the Q. First and foremost, a key area to note would be taking out these highs. If you took out these highs and got a swing failure pattern, then you'd be bringing this back down to the point of control. If not, then back up towards the EQ. Now, if you get a reaction at the EQ and it starts to roll over again, then once again, point of control. And ultimately, if it does roll over further, even if it's from here, then I'll be looking back down this value area low. First and foremost, we can see it's had some good interaction in the past. We can see all these touches here. So the value area low first and foremost, and if it does continue to come lower, then I'm looking down at these range lows. Now ideally what I'd like to see at these range lows is I'd like to see them swept. And the reason why I say that is because you've got perfect touch here, and there's still resting liquidity underneath. So if this was to come back down, ideally I'd want to see a swing failure pattern, reclaim back up, change of structure, and then you'd be looking at the long. And again, you'd be targeting back at this value area low. If you get acceptance back into this value area, then you'd be looking up at that point of control again, because obviously it's a big level now. There's a lot of volume around here. Clears that, then EQ, value area high. Very simple, level to level. Now, what I wouldn't be doing is if it does come into this box down here, I wouldn't be setting limit orders down here. And the reason why I say that is because this is a macro level. So what I'd want to see if I was to take longs on BNB is I'd want to see some strength. So I'd want to see the swing failure pattern happen, reclaim back into the range with the change of market structure, then I'd be long. If I didn't see this, then ultimately, let's just get rid of some of these squiggles. If I didn't see this, then I'd be quite happy to let it roll over. And if it does roll over, this whole move up here is fairly thin. We do have some structural support just here, that's on the daily chart. But aside from that, the next structural support realistically comes in around this level here. Okay. No reaction here. I'd be looking back down at the value area high of the original range. So let's zoom out to a monthly chart so if we can see this a little bit better. Yeah, so ignoring the volume profile here, let's just hide this for the time being. If you've got no reaction in this, which is the original breakout, so this could effectively be a breakout and a back test. If we just throw a line on here, breakout potentially, and a back test for another bounce. Or if you didn't get another bounce here, you know, that'd be option one. If that didn't happen, then I'd be looking to come back down in towards effectively this whole region here. This whole region for me would be an area of interest. Got some KSR levels in this region. You've got the value area high, and then in fact, let's come back down to the daily. Let's hide this volume profile, and then let's do a volume profile for here, so we can just get an idea. No idea why that didn't work. Let's try it again. Got a bit of an idea there. We've also got a point of control within here as well. So, key region for me. If no reaction here, then I'll be looking down into this green box. So this green box effectively would be quite a big region, anything from $20 down to $12.50. Again, if it does come down into this, then what I want to see is I want to see a structure break to the upside, starting off with a low time frame, then working it way up, following it through the time frames. If it carries on through the time frames and the structure keeps breaking on the higher time frames to the upside, then you know you've got a better position. If structure doesn't keep breaking to the upside and you see it just continue rolling over, then you know, looking at your stop to get run. So make sure we're taking frequent profits. That's all I can say. You know, it's still a sideways and down market. Until this range is lost though, I'm not starting to look down at these targets. So before anyone starts thinking that I'm an uber bear and I'm going crazy and you know I'm fudding, I'm not. I'm just trading this level to level. Right now, as we said, we've not lost this point of control. Okay, lose that point of control, value area low, overall range lows. Ideally, I want to sweep. If no sweep, then looking back down at these levels down below. Okay, that's BNB. Probably should talk about to the upside. In fact, we did talk about to the upside. Obviously, if it does get up here, then targeting these highs here. If no reaction on these highs, then looking up at this EQ, which lines up nicely with this value area high. Okay, dead simple. Above that, you're just trading the top part of the range. Very simple, level to level. It's not a time to get over greedy. We're entering trades. We're taking regular profits. You know, it's still a bear market at the end of the day. Right, what have we got here? Ocean. I've got some old squiggles. I used to love trading this coin. Right, Ocean. What are we doing here? So first and foremost, let's do what we always do. Let's throw on an overall volume profile. Now, this is an interesting one. Now, obviously, each exchange is going to be different, but what's interesting about this is on Binance, the bulk of the volume is in this top range. So that's quite interesting. there is some volume here. We can just see it on the volume profile. I'm not sure if you can see that on your screen, but there is something showing up here, but the bulk of it is up here. So that's quite interesting. Again, like BNB, it's hovering around the point of control. So let's get rid of that. Let's zoom in. What else can we see? So we've lost effectively what would be the macro range. So we've got good respect at the lows, swing failure pattern, respect at the lows, broken through the lows, back test as a deviation, come back down. We've recently just back tested it again, didn't manage to get back into it, and then we've pulled away and made another lower low. So is this right now? Is this going to be a lower high and then looking for another lower low, or is this where we're going to turn around and potentially get back into that range? Let's have a look. Right, okay. So this range low does have some serious resistance because obviously we've got the value area low here, we've got the range low just below it. So something to note: if price does, let's get into the 3-day. Let's make it a little bit clearer. If price does manage to get back up and reclaim back in here without a deviation, then maintain structure, then you're back to trading this overall range here. So get back into value, then you're looking up at that point of control. Get above that point of control, then you're tagging each key high. Now bear in mind this is the 3-day chart, the daily chart will look the same. And then above that, ultimately, you'll be looking at the value area high. If we do come back up here, deviate, come back down as a swing failure pattern, then you've got a short trigger back down, and again you'll be playing it back down into this region here. Okay, if that doesn't hold, then we're looking for lower. How low could it go? Well, let's zoom out and let's take a look. So what we can see here is obviously we've got the accumulation before the breakout itself. Again, that's very similar. So we can see here, this is on the 3-day chart, but we can see that obviously we've got a cluster here, we've got a small cluster here. If we zoom back out to the daily, we can see that probably a little bit more clearly. Yeah, we've got a cluster here and a cluster here, which is what's happened is when price has broken out of this range in the first place, these clusters are acting as support, similar to how Bitcoin's doing it right now. If you zoom out to Bitcoin and you look at the big run up that it had for the bull run, you can see that there's still little clusters of support that can potentially hold price. Now whether it holds it and can reverse it, or whether it just slows it down before a further drop, is let's wait and see. But ultimately, if we take out these lows here, then I'll be looking to come back into this region here. So obviously we've got tap of the highs, back down, tap again, back down, and then we ultimately got the breakthrough. So very similar to obviously how BNB works. If we do come back down to this sort of region here, do we get a bounce, change of structure, back to the upside, then you got your long trigger, and then effectively you'd be playing this range in between the top range and the bottom range. If you get no reaction, or maybe a swing failure pattern back into this cluster, now this cluster could offer some support here. Let's just throw on a volume profile for here. You can see there's a little bit of volume here. Could offer some support. If no support there, so if this doesn't end up as a swing failure pattern and a reclaim and you trigger and you get no support, then ultimately, didn't mean to do that. Let's come back out. That's what happens when you're rushing because you want to trade Bitcoin, because it's getting a bit exciting. Let's throw this back on here. And there we go. Right. So if you get no reaction at this level and it does just roll back under, then ultimately I'll be looking back down at this value area high here, because we can see in the past we've had good respect. It's been resistance. It's been resistance. It's flipped. So then drop back through. Then as we've broken out of it again, we've had a back test before the final push up. So this sort of region here, effectively, which would then tie in also with the EQ. So yeah, it's a big region. But you know, we're talking about macro plays here potentially. You know, we're not talking about exact levels, we're talking about macro plays. So what you want to see ideally, if you wanted to hold a bag of this long term, and again, this is not financial advice, but what you want to see is you want to see a long ass accumulation, similar to how this happened in the first place. You've got a long sideways accumulation, which is what's that, about a year? Yeah, just over a year of sideways price action. Sounds boring as hell, but you know, this is what happens. You know, when you get long sideways price action and you're creating high-low structure, not taking out the previous lows every time it happens. Bear in mind, Ocean's a very bad example because it used to be a very liquid shitcoin. So moves were very wicky, and anyone that's like been around the space for a long time will remember how it used to be. It's very similar to Waves as a coin, very wicky, very thin. But you can see it's just maintaining this upward structure. So that's ideally what you want to see for a longer term play. If it does come back down to this region and you start seeing that, and you start seeing signs of accumulation without taking out the lows and just making higher highs and higher lows, then you know you've potentially got yourself a place to build a spot position. But yeah, effectively that's what I'll be looking for. So first and foremost, if it does get to the high side, looking around this old range, which is around 27 cents, up to maybe, if it is the deviation, then up to 30 cents. To the downside, you'd be looking back down around 9 cents, probably back down into this accumulation here, which is about 6 cents, give or take. Failure in there, then you're booking back down in towards this value area here. Initially the value area high, the EQ, bit of a region here, and then below that, then you know, doom and gloom, everyone gets bearish as hell. That's about it. Very simple. Very simple. Just level to level. You know, we're still down and sideways. You know, don't get greedy. It's not a time to get greedy until you start to see a high time frame trend reversal. But right now, it's still down. Right, guys. Obviously, if you want to learn how we trade and see some of the more techniques and tricks that we have in the group, then first and foremost, use the link down in the description and check out our website, spitfiretraders.com. On here, you can get access to our free Discord, where there's loads of ideas shared and loads of free hints and tips on how to trade. And obviously, if you want to take your trading to the next level, check out our Copilot section. Within our Copilot section, you can see here, we can do it on a rolling month membership, 50 quid. For 50 quid, you get access to over 70 hours of educational content. We're just about to do another live stream this evening. And we can see here that basically you've got access to all this content. You know, there's hours and hours and hours, everything from absolute beginners through to advanced trader. And tonight we'll be finishing off our trading psychology module, so we'll be doing module 2 tonight. So obviously if you want to join us for that, check out our website and consider becoming one of our co-pilots. And that's about it. If you've liked today's video, don't forget to hit the like, leave a comment down below to let us know what altcoin you want covering next week. And if you want to continue watching our content, then consider hitting that subscribe button. Alright guys, that'll do. As you were, goodbye.